Here's another cover story from the New Scientist early this year. Dramatic headline, cover story: The universe's hidden beauty, a strange principle from the quantum realm, finally reveals why the cosmos is so elegant. Finally reveals. And then, of course, it goes on to talk about our elegant universe. Wherever there's symmetry, it seemed there was low quantum entanglement too. It talks about transcending space-time and low degrees of quantum entanglement, collider experiments that find 3 flavors of elementary particles, which might be explained by quantum entanglement and its mysterious way of transcending space and time still defies concrete understanding, on and on with equations and mind-bending arguments, etc., etc. So actually, I'd like to reframe this as ancient knowledge that was available and summarized in one phrase to the great rishis of India. That one phrase was Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So what's the connection between that phrase and quantum entanglement and a non-dual universe? So I'm noticing more and more as I read these dramatic headlines from science magazines. They almost sound like tabloid headlines, of course, with equations and very elegant, mind-bending arguments and equations and very smart writers. But they're obviously not aware that these ideas have existed for thousands of years. And the more deep physics goes, the more it starts to sound like ancient mysticism. Quantum entanglement says that the universe is not really made of separate things that are scattered in space and time, but a one indivisible pattern. So symmetry and mathematical beauty guide our best physical theories, like a quiet aesthetic compass almost, pointing toward a hidden unity. In Advaita Vedanta, that unity has a name: Satyam Shivam Sundaram, eternal truth, consciousness, beauty. So in this short video, I want to explore with you how these ideas speak to each other. So let's begin with entanglement. In simple terms, when two particles become entangled, they stop behaving like two independent objects and start behaving like one shared state. Change the conditions here and correlations open there, no matter how far apart they are. So in other words, you tickle the universe in one place and it laughs immediately in another place, location in space-time. The important point is not that information travels faster than light, because it doesn't. The important point is that the underlying reality cannot be understood as separate pieces sitting in space. The parts only make sense as aspects of a larger, indivisible whole. So some approaches in quantum gravity go even further and suggest that space-time itself, distance, geometry, even the flow of time may emerge from deeper patterns of entanglement. So in that view, space is not the stage, it's a display. It's a user interface generated by more fundamental order. So at the cutting edge of physics, unity comes before separateness. The whole is primary, the parts are secondary. Advaita Vedanta starts from a remarkably similar intuition, but takes it all the way into consciousness. It says there's one reality, Brahman. It is not one thing amongst many things. It is the only reality, appearing as all things, all beings, all experiences without ever becoming divided. So this is where the phrase Satyam Shivam Sundaram comes in. Satyam, the real, that which does not change, that which does not come and go. Shivam, the auspicious principle, the pure consciousness in which all experiences arise. And Sundaram, the beauty or bliss of that reality, the sense of harmony and rightness when it is glimpsed. So from this perspective, the world of separate objects in space and time is a kind of patterned appearance, a play of names and forms, Maya on the surface of an undivided reality. Maya, the goddess of illusion. You can already feel the resonance. Physics discovers a non-local unified structure beneath space-time. Advaita says that what is unified at the deepest level is not only structure, but reality itself. And that reality is intimately tied to consciousness. So, Satyam is truth as indivisible order. Satyam is usually translated as truth, but it really means that which always is. Not a true statement, but a true reality, unchanging behind the changing. In physics, we peel back layers of description, from molecules to atoms to nuclei to fields to entanglement. As we do that, we keep finding what we thought were separate things are actually interconnected manifestations of a deeper order. At a certain point, the language of things starts to break down. The most honest description is something like there is one coherent order, one global pattern, and particles are just local disturbances or perspectives on that order. You could say Satyam is that indivisible order before we cut it up into this and that and that and this. And notice, this is not mystical language. It's simply taking seriously what our best physical theories are already telling us. That the universe is more like a single equation or a single wave function than a pile of Lego bricks. Schrodinger's equation, for example. Advaita adds that invisible order is not out there somewhere, separate from you. It is the very reality that is looking through your eyes right now. What about Shivam? Shivam, in this context, points to pure awareness, the capacity to know prior to any particular experience. If you notice your current experience, there are thoughts, sensations, emotions, perceptions. All of that changes moment by moment. But the fact of being aware of them does not change. The simple knowing presence is continuous. Advaita says that pure knowing is not a tiny property generated by your brain. It is the fundamental space in which every possible universe, every equation, every theory appears. Physics can talk about the structure of the universe, but it never steps outside the domain of experience. All of physics is occurring within consciousness. The blackboard, the equations, the experiments, the interpretations, all of its content exists in awareness. So when physics points beyond space-time to a deeper level that is not located anywhere, while physics does that, or when it does that, Advaita says, you are already intimate with that level. It is the formless field of knowing which you call I, or I am. Satyam is the indivisible reality. Shivam is the reality, same reality, recognized as consciousness. And then Sundaram, beauty, symmetry, and the taste of unity. Sundaram is beauty, not just aesthetic decoration. It is the felt harmony when truth is unobstructed. It is the joy of alignment with what is. Physicists are surprisingly open about this. They often speak of beauty or elegance of a theory, the way Maxwell's equations condense complexity into symmetry, or the way general relativity turns gravity into geometry with almost poetic economy. Over and over again, the most beautiful theories, those with the deepest symmetry and the least arbitrariness have turned out to be the most accurate descriptions of nature. Why is the universe intelligible? Why does it respond to our search for simplicity and symmetry? Why does the mind light up with a strange joy when a pattern clicks into place? From an Advaitic lens, you can say, this is Sundaram, the radiance of Satyam and Shivam. When unity is glimpsed, even intellectually, the usual fragmentation relaxes and there's a taste of bliss, of rightness, of course, aha. Symmetry and mathematical beauty are the impersonable scientific face of Sundaram. They are how the one reality smiles through equations. So now we can bring it all together. If space-time and separateness are emergent, if they arise from deeper entanglement structures, then what we call the world is a kind of interface, a rendered image, a dream. Advaita calls this Maya, not illusion in the sense that nothing is real, but illusion in the sense that things are not as they first appear. The many are not ultimately many. The world is a display of the one. Seen this way, the non-local unified order is Satyam, truth. The awareness in which the order is revealed is Shivam, consciousness. The symmetry, elegance, and beauty of that order are Sundaram. It's blissful radiance. This invitation of non-duality is not just to admire this philosophically, but to recognize it directly. The same awareness that witnesses entanglement experiments, that appreciates elegant theorems, that experiences beauty in a sunset or a piece of music, that awareness is not a fragment within the universe. It is the open, borderless field in which the universe appears. To know this even a little is to see that Satyam Shivam Sundaram is not a poetic slogan. It's a description of you who is looking at me right now and listening to me through this interface. So if this exploration resonated, you might sit quietly for a moment after this video ends and simply notice everything you see, hear and feel is changing. But the knowing of it all, this clear presence is steady. Satyam, that this is. Shivam, that it is known. Sundaram, and that when glimpsed is unmistakably beautiful.